and the three of them who have dominated football in this aspect in at least this decade and the past. When you talk about power and influence in football in Southeast Asia, a few names immediately come to mind. And the three of them who have dominated football in this aspect in at least this decade and the past, they are Tunku Ismail Ibrahim, currently the regent of Johor and also the crown prince of the state, Nampuan Lansam, or better known as Madam Pang. She's currently the president of the Thai FA and the former owner of local club Port FC, and Erick Thohir, who is currently a minister in the Prabowo government, who is also the president of the PSSI, the Indonesian Football Federation, and also the co-owner of the English Championship club Oxford United. So with these three, actually I would break down one by one to explain how their influence and wealth had helped their respective countries or clubs to become a force not just in the region but beyond as well. So I will first touch on by talking about Tunku Ismail Ibrahim, or better known as TMJ in football circles. In 2013, TMJ took over Johor FC and immediately brought all the Johor related clubs including Johor FA into one umbrella in a revamp to rebuild it as Johor Darul Takzim, which is also the same full name for the state itself. So actually prior to its takeover, Johor football has been really struggling in the lower echelons. Johor FC was then created as a breakaway from Johor FA over internal political disagreement, so there was disunity and also the struggle of living in the past beyond their last major success in the 1991 Malaysia League and Cup double. So with TMJ coming in to own the club, he actually not only introduced a clean sweep of all the dead wood, but also introduced new things that actually transformed the club to what it is today. And with that, you have seen right now brand new world-class facilities training facilities in Johor Bahru and in other places in the state, and also a brand new stadium that in Sultan Ibrahim Stadium that is actually comparable to major European stadiums in this part in the world. Then when it comes to achievements, Johor effectively took over Selangor and Pahang as the main powerhouses of domestic football, as they actually won 10 consecutive Malaysian Super League titles and several Malaysia FA Cups and Malaysia Cups. But for JDT, it goes well beyond that. Under TMJ, he's actually keen for Johor football to not just be known only within the nation itself, but also expand to the continent in Asia. And that's where TMJ really brought a lot of focus into catapulting Malaysian football into Asia, and eventually was pivotal in the re-emergence of Malaysian football in Asia. JDT won the AFC Cup in 2015, marking the first time a Malaysian club has actually won an Asian club trophy in its history. And in part because of these successes in the first half of his reign, that allowed him to actually build on these fundamentals when he became the president of the Football Association of Malaysia between 2016 and 2017. During that period, he actually cleared a lot of dead wood within the Kelana Jaya facility and actually introduced processes that actually make FAM one of the most modern FAs in Southeast Asia. And not only that, he also decided that he would sign the best players so that they will always compete within the best within JDT. And with that, they have actually brought in quality foreigners during this period as well. Pablo Aimar is the most obvious signing in that period in 2014, where he actually catapulted JDT into world football headlines. And along them the notable ones include Luciano Figueroa and Fernando Forestieri. Both of them are Argentinians who used to play in prominent football leagues in Europe. And it's not just money spent on getting the best players available. He actually spared no expenses in getting players to naturalize as to improve the quality of the Malaysian national football team. Yes, Malaysia has a very proud history in football history and heritage, but because in recent decades it had fallen behind so badly that it took a new generation of quality domestic Malaysian players to come through and rebuild gradually the pride of Malaysian football. But to accelerate it further and to push towards Asia, TMJ actually had to bring in naturalized and actually heritage players to bolster the team. And as a result, what you can see was the fruit of it in the 2023 Asian Cup, which was actually held in Qatar in January this year, where Malaysia came home with 1 point after 3 matches. His influence and passion for the game, as well as the wealth that the royal family has, allowed him to pursue those dreams, allowed him to rebuild Johor and Malaysian football and push Malaysian football into new territories unseen after being at the doldrums for some time. So this is how TMJ used his political influence to push Malaysian football back to the forefront in Southeast Asia and beyond. Then next, Erick Thohir. He is currently the minister who has retained his portfolio in the new Prabowo government. He also is the president of the PSSI and also the co-owner of Oxford United, along with the Bakri family. So with Erick, actually he used to be the Inter Milan owner, where he actually spent the better part of the late 00s and 2010s being part of the Italian giants. And actually utilizing this experience, he was actually able to delve into a deep network of contacts where he was actually able to tap on those naturalized players that we have been seeing in Indonesia for at least the past 1-2 years. Although the naturalization program has already been around in Indonesia for some time, whether it's with heritage players like Ezra Walian or I think, if I'm not wrong, there's another player, Irfan Bachdim. I mean, heritage Indonesian with Dutch blood. And also you got naturalized players like Cristiano Gonzalez, the Uruguayan turned Indonesian, who was instrumental in pushing Indonesia into the 2010 AFF Championship final. But under the leadership of current South Korean coach Shin Tae-yong, Indonesia is not looking merely as just wanting to be one of the best in Southeast Asia. Like in the case of TMJ and Malaysia, Erick also wants Indonesia to push beyond the Southeast Asia boundaries, not to remain the Raja Kampong of Indonesian football, even though they have been 6 times runners-up in the ASEAN Championship. But they have pushed for, and under this South Korean coach who actually coached his home country in the 2018 World Cup, they are now in the final round of World Cup qualifying for 2026 and also reached the 2nd consecutive Asian Cup finals appearance in Saudi Arabia in 2027. And with that, I mean, using a solid group of young players like Asnawi, Witan Sulaiman, and also a few early naturalized players or heritage players such as Elkan Bagot and other locals like Rizky Rido. Several of them actually came through a different parallel program under Mola TV, where they actually went overseas for several months to be honed on their tactical understanding of the game under former Chelsea great Dennis Wise. So where this is concerned, Erick Thohir has contributed really tremendously using his finances and influence and knowledge in European football, that we actually saw a glut of Dutch heritage players who chose to play for Indonesia, presumably under the influence of Erick Thohir. and that's why you have a very strong Indonesian squad that is now able to compete with the best of Asia in the current final round of World Cup qualifying for 2026. That said, also, I think his work is not really done. He wants to push Indonesia as much as they can during his remaining term in office as PSSI president. So we are not going to see the final throes of Erick yet, even though he does have political ambitions. So that where he's concerned, he's actually looking to push further in this. So we continue on with the Football Association of Thailand President, Madam Pang. My correction for the previous one in the opening statement that she was former. She's still the owner of Thai League One club, Port FC, which has risen to prominence under her charge, but it's not her only achievement in Thai football. She was actually quietly building up the influence from the women's football first, where she was actually the chairwoman of the women's football scene in the country, where she oversaw Thailand reaching back-to-back women's World Cup finals in 2015 and in 2019, where she was actually also the team manager in charge. And from there, she actually also step up to become the team manager or the person in charge of the Thai men's national team, where she became known for giving out fantastic financial rewards and incentives for the Thai players, in which they actually won back-to-back AFF championships during her reign. And from that, she actually built on the support to actually push further, like TMJ, like Erick Thohir. She wanted Thai football to actually rise up above the Southeast Asian level, where they have a long-standing reputation as being one of the best in the region for their technical style of play and ability to dominate opponents by playing ball on their feet during matches. However, Madam Pang wants to push Thai football to the Asian level to aspire to be one of the best in Asia. So on the eve of the Asian Cup 2023, she actually engineered a switch of coaches, removing the popular monopoking for Matsada Ishii. I know in first glance what it looked like was a tactical suicide, because who changes coaches on just days before the eve of the tournament? But she was actually looking at the middle to long term, where she wanted Thailand to progress into the final round of World Cup qualifying, which Thailand nearly did until a series of Hassan Sani saves in their final group qualifier in Bangkok denied Thailand on goal difference in the end. So Thailand, they had to content themselves with the final round of Asian Cup qualifiers instead of getting automatic qualification into the 27 finals and the final round of qualifying as Indonesia are enjoying now. But Madam Pang, who is also an heiress and is a major partner in a local insurance industry, she's using her financial wealth to help to build promise and tries to want to improve the domestic league scene, especially in the lower leagues where clubs do not have as much financial muscle as in the top flight League One. So she wants to build on that, particularly from League 3 downwards, where clubs are able to be self-sustaining and also push towards eventually building a league system that could be as comparable as that in Japan.